harm and flirting with Dorian because he's not going to reciprocate it.
Ah, yes, me. I am the scion of House Parvis, a product of generations of careful breeding and the repository of its hopes and dreams. Naturally, I despised it all. The lies, the scheming, the illusions of supremacy. That's Tevinter in a nutshell, isn't it? Needless to say, my family was not happy with my
Hey,
choices.
talking here.
Why would your family be upset with your choices?
Because I rejected their idyllic plan. If they had their way, by now I'd be married to some unlucky girl from a powerful family. We'd live in luxurious despair, despising each other as I waited to take my father's place in the magisterium. I declined the honor, and thus it's best I'm far from home. Less of an embarrassment that way, you see?
Well, you don't like your home?
I'm getting the impression that you don't care much for your homeland.
On the contrary, I care for my homeland a great deal. There's so much potential. Sadly, we squander it. We refuse to acknowledge how far we've fallen because pretending is easier. We pretend the Qunari can be beaten. We pretend that we're superior to everyone, even our own people. Not everyone feels that way. I don't. Sadly, we're the minority.
Why do you care so much? I mean, it's a dumb question. It's his homeland, but...
It just seems... So much of what you say about the Imperium is entirely negative.
It might sound that way. For all our faults, my people have many virtues. We are laden with history and culture. Tevinter is where Thedas truly began, remember? We treasure our past and preserve it. You can walk down a side street and find nothing built during the modern ages. And despite appearances, we care. Deeply. About everything. We have no reserve, not in war and not in love. If I truly believed my homeland was beyond all hope, I wouldn't miss it so much.
What do you mean by careful breeding? That one
What
sounds
do
a
you
bit
mean
excessive.
by generations of careful breeding?
The great families of Tevinter don't have children. They refine traits, weed out the undesirable, and promote the rest. My mother was chosen for my father because magic runs strongly in her blood. Never mind that they loathed each other. They wanted a son who could become Archon to make House Parvis the envy of the Imperium.
And instead, they got you.
A cautionary tale that you should be careful what you wish for.
Why remain with the Inquisition? Why not go back to Tevinter?
I'm not exactly welcome back home.
For obvious
Magic,
reasons.
I'm quite accustomed to being a pariah. It adds to my charm. I can do more for Tevinter here. If the Venatori succeed, it'll set my homeland back 1,000 years. I'm sure some magisters would disagree, but that's why we kill them.
I think I've heard enough.
That's too bad. I never tire of talking about myself.
Well, tell me about home.
I'd like to ask you about Tevinter.
We don't know a lot about the Imperium
Yes,
from someone from
everyone
the
outside
Imperium.
always seems quite fascinated by it. Probably why they come up with so many ridiculous tales. Flying cows over Minrathus. That's madness. Alright, that one's actually true, but the cows didn't have wings. I digress. Anything in particular you wanted to know?
Do mages really rule?
It seems strange that an entire empire would be ruled by mages.
I find it strange that your mages don't rule anything at all. Actually, the fiction in the Imperium is that mages don't rule. The magisterium rules. That magisters are all mages is considered a convenient technicality.
What is the magisterium, exactly?
The upper house...
Give me all the details, please.
And the only part worth having a seat on. Those seats are split among the circles of Magi, the Chantry, and the major families. All mages now. It's odd that outside the Imperium, you use Magister like it applies to every Tevinter mage.
If you're not a magister, then what are you called? No special title?
I'm an Altus, which is almost as good as a Magister, depending on who you ask.
And that means what exactly?
I've never heard of an Altus.
Upper class. Those families who trace descent from the Dreamers, the first prophets of the old gods. If you're a mage and you're not Altus, then you're later. Lower class. If you're not a mage at all, you're Soperati. That's everyone else. We do love our fancy words.
That you do. That you do.
I thought the Archon ruled over the Imperium.
Well, yes. Technically, he can overrule laws passed by the Magisterium, but that never happens. Even so, he gets to appoint new Magisters, which means all the families vie madly for his favor. Thus, the Archon gets invited to all the parties. The truest path to Tevinter influence, let me tell you.
So in a way, it's not very different
If
from
it's a fiction,
Orlais.
that
All the
means
posturing and
mages do
stuff.
rule, then.
Yes and no. Let me put it this way. Mages do rule, but not all mages are equal. If you're not from the right family, chances are you don't rule anything. Maybe you're even a slave. The idea that anyone could be a mage, however, keeps the masses placated.
You have slave mages too?
Can anyone be a mage?
Technically, the potential runs mostly in bloodlines, but it's been known to happen. More importantly, commoners believe it can. Tevinter legend is chock full of mage heroes from humble origins. So they hold out hope. Someday my son or my son's son will be a mage. Someday. Poor sods don't realize that means he'll be a quaestor at the arse end of the 100 Pillars, at best.
And what does that mean exactly? I don't know what your
Being
words
a
mean.
quaestor isn't a good thing.
I imagine the average non-mage likes to think so. Counting numbers and shuffling papers all day is better than many occupations after all. If you're a second-class citizen among a pack of piranha, however, your outlook changes.
Let me ask you something else.
Of course.
Tell me more about the chantry up
There's
into
an Imperial
Ventor.
chantry, isn't there? With its own divine.
You people aren't supposed to talk about the Black Divine, are you? If you mention him outside the Imperium, people make that face, like you're urinating in public. But yes, we do have the chantry, or a version of it. Night and day comparing it to yours.
Don't say mine. I'm not part of that. I'm a data shelf. I worship something different.
Is the Imperial chantry so different from ours?
Not in theory. The main difference is in the whole magic is meant to serve man, not rule over him business. Back home, ruling the unwashed masses is serving them, for the good of the Imperium. Perhaps it started with good intentions, but these days it's academic. The circles are in command.
Why would you have circles if you don't?
We don't
If you-
have
what?
dismal little mage prisons, if that's what you mean.
Oh, okay.
They're academies, prestigious ones. We have Templars as well, but they don't cancel spells or whatever your Templars do. They're soldiers. They watch for abuse of magic, yes, but only those who are weak or who fall out of favor get dealt with. Mostly they enforce the Magisterium's edicts. The Chantry smiles and nods from the sidelines.
Do you really call him the Black Divine?
We don't call him that, oh no. In the Imperium, he's the true divine. The woman sitting on the sunburst throne is some backwater pretender. It all stems from a disagreement over Andraste. Marvelous, isn't it?
Yeah, a lot can change over one disagreement.
Why would they disagree over Andraste?
It's not my field of expertise, but the Imperium believes Andraste was a mortal woman, a mage. Down south they say, no, she's the bride of the Maker, ascended to his side, divine provenance, a blah blah blah. We feel better believing Andraste was one of us. Makes executing her less damning, you see. So we elected a man as divine, the South declared war, and we've been feuding cousins ever since.
Why?
So, the Imperial
Why a man?
Divine is always a man.
All the better to distinguish him from that other one, yes. Don't think there aren't a number of female magisters who bristle at that. Why can't they be divine after all? Same reason you never see a man on the sunburst throne. Because that's how it's always been done. Excellent reasoning.
Do you consider yourself Andrastian?
It's getting really warm in my office right now, and I hate it.
The big question. It might surprise you that I do consider myself Andrastian. I simply do not believe in the Chantry. It is a
Fair enough
relic,
answer,
whether
fair enough
back
answer.
home or here in
Like
the
saying you're
South.
Christian, but you don't believe in the church.
Something from a bygone age desperately clinging to relevance. It's not an opinion that makes me popular.
I'm not surprised. It's not an opinion you should share.
You did ask if you...
I didn't mean to say that. Jesus.
I'll say this. I may not believe in the Chantry, but I believe in you.
In me?
That the Maker sent you, whether through Andraste or fate. Cassandra is not wrong. You are what we needed most at the moment we needed it. That's what they will say in ages to come.
I'm surprised you think that.
You don't seem like the religious sort, to be honest.
If you define religious as sitting in a chantry and listening to a blithering hen tell you how to live, then no. If you define it as believing in the possibility that something larger than yourself exists, then yes, by all means. The world is bigger than I, even bigger than you. It laughs at all the things we think we know. The Maker doesn't need me to believe, but I do. The thought of no one at all watching out for us is too frightening.
Let me ask you something else.
So many questions.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot of them.
I'm wondering if the Imperium...
A lot of them.
ally.
That tends to be the case when you have a new companion.
Concerned whether or not they'd support the Venatori. They won't. At least, not officially. They'll disavow all knowledge of dangerous cultists. Secretly, many Magisters will rejoice at the idea. And if the South falls to chaos in the meantime, all the better.
It would be in the Imperium's best interest to help. Surely it could use allies.
I think the Imperium gave up on the idea of allies a long time ago. We've been fighting the Qunari for what, 200 years off and on? It's a point of pride that we go it alone. They'll sneer at the South behind their silk handkerchiefs and say, "You've had it easy for far too long." Let's not forget that the Inquisition seems to be an arm of the Orlesian Chantry. Anathema so far as they're concerned.
Why do people keep saying that? We are not part of the Chantry.
We're not part of the Chantry. The Chantry opposed the Inquisition's formation.
You think that matters? Don't be silly.
I would hope it would matter.
Andraste. Your very title smacks of the Southern Chantry. You may as well be a heathen. I think they're far more frightened what you'll do if you succeed.
Just how often is blood magic used there?
Oh, not at all.
Not at all.
That's what any Magister would tell you. They'd be convincingly offended by the notion too. Of course, what people call blood magic here and what we consider blood magic are two different things.
Alright, and what's the difference? Enlighten me, please.
What's considered actual blood magic in Tevinter?
Blood magic isn't inherently dangerous. Using your own blood or that of a willing participant, what's the harm? The problem is that what's permitted only gets you so much power. And what if you need more? You always need more. That's where we get into sacrifices and demon summoning. None of that is done. Not officially. Behind closed doors.
That's all below the table, huh?
Real blood magic can give you an edge. A leg up against your opponents. It's safe to assume that any mage of rank does it. The rest are quietly shut out of power, to put it bluntly.
You'd think the Templars would object.
No, they don't have Templars. We know that already.
Once their investigations might have been sincere. Then their balls were cut off. Too inconvenient. Nowadays, only the friendless are accused. Most of them probably innocent.
And no one protests? No one has an issue with it?
There must be some mages who oppose this.
Of course. I do. And I'm not entirely alone. Occasionally, there'll be a magister who makes noise. And then the reform talk begins. All very patriotic. Meanwhile, that magister will be quietly shunned. Chances are, surprise, it's learned he was a Maleficar all along. Most learn to keep quiet. Me? I enjoy the allure of pariahhood.
Alright, now the big question. Let's talk about slavery.
Anyone who talks about the Imperium mentions slavery. It's the center of the slave trade.
Ah. That is true.
And did you have slaves?
Not personally, but my family does and treats them well. Honestly, I never thought much about it until I came south. Back home, it's how it is. Slaves are everywhere. You don't question it. I'm not even certain many slaves do.
Oh, it's definitely not like that here.
Well, we don't have slaves in the south.
In the south, you have alienages, slums, both human and elven. The desperate have no way out. Back home, a poor man can sell himself. As a slave, he could have a position of respect, comfort, and could even support a family. Some
He
slaves are
could.
treated poorly, it's true. But do you honestly think inescapable poverty is better?
I think freedom of choice is better than a lot of things.
At least they're free. They don't have slavery forced on them.
You think people choose to be poor and oppressed? I doubt it. I don't know what it's like to be a slave, true. I never thought about it until I saw how different it was here. But I suspect you don't know either. Nor should you believe that every tale of Tevinter excess is the norm.
Alright, that's all those questions
That's
asked.
all I wanted to know.
Fair enough.
Have you gone to see Alexius yet? He's in the cells.
Not yet, no. I saw him before they locked him up. He looked despondent, broken. Not the man I remember, nor the one I want to. I suppose the Inquisition will judge him eventually. I wonder if there's any chance they'll show him mercy. He hardly deserves
If I'm the one deciding, then there will be mercy. Don't worry about that.
I can't help hoping there's something left of the man I once knew. So I take it you're Dalish? Is that the correct word here?
Yes,
Yes,
it is.
That's right.
We don't have Dalish clans coming northward, for obvious reasons. So I've never met one of your people before, although I've heard about them. A little. I hope this won't be an issue between us. I am here to help you deal with the Venatori, after all.
If we had an issue, then we've already discussed it. We get along just fine, Dorian.
Dorian.
Excellent. Mutual appreciation is a grand way to begin.
I should go.
Try not to kill anyone without me. Always with the questions. What will people say?
Okay, now we're done with you now. Okay.
Try not to die. I would notice you were gone.
Moving on.
Magic exists to serve man and never to rule over him.
Yeah, I know. Heard it hundreds of times. Let's go do something different.
The Inquisition appreciates your assistance in this matter, Lady Corbin. And my miners appreciate your business. You'll have your lyrium by the end of the week. I should tell you, Ambassador, the Chantry raised some fuss when they learned about
Oh, I'm sure they did, but I don't care.
The Inquisition must certainly seem an audacious idea to the Grand Clerics. We hope to convince them it is a necessary one as well.
Hi, Josephine. What's going on here?
I'll take my leave. Good day.
Who is she, Ambassador?
A merchant. I thought we should reach out to the dwarves to secure lyrium for the Inquisition's mages. According to Lady Corbin, it raised the ire of the Chantry.
Oh, well, what do they need lyrium
Oh.
for anymore?
Access to lyrium makes
They have
us
neither
rather
mages or
more
Templars.
formidable than anticipated. We're becoming a challenge. Sadly, the remaining Grand Clerics appear to be consolidating the Chantry's power instead of comforting the masses.
They need it more now than
The
ever.
Chantry should be a place of hope, not another group scrambling for answers.
That must be its strength again. The Chants did much to bridge nations. Little but the Chantry ties Orlais, Nevara, Ferelden, Antiva, and even Rivain to a common cause.
Has the Chantry truly promoted such peace?
Andrastis' chant is familiar across kingdoms, a source of many shared customs. That is the crucial point. Common ground is the start of all negotiations.
Yep, I can see the importance. That is a very common ground is very important.
I suppose a shared faith can be useful when talking with strangers.
Precisely. And these similar interests are merely where we begin. We must learn to think beyond our own wants to secure peace in Thedas.
It's a tall order. It's an ambitious notion. It's very ambitious, you know.
The history of the world, Ambassador Montillier.
I believe the Inquisition is already charting that course. Which brings me to a question, if you have a moment. The
I
remaining
didn't have a
Grand
moment. I won't be here
Clerics
talking to you.
receive inquiring about the events at the Temple of Sacred Ashes. They demand to know whether the Inquisition officially claims that Andraste saved you from the breach. If it were up to you, how would you reply?
I don't know. It's private. How will you?
Will my answer change your reply to the Chantry?
If Leliana, Cassandra Cullen, and I could agree on our official stance, I could answer that. We should decide soon. The revered mothers don't seem to know what to make of you.
I don't know.
I don't know if a miracle from Andraste saved me any more than they do.
Yet as rumors your Andraste's herald grow, the Grand Clerics may not believe such a humble reply.
Oh well, that's still how I feel about it. I don't know what happened, so I can't really make statements on it.
We can use that. What may I do for you?
Apparently
Let's
nothing.
speak later.
Another time.
We got some scattered missions.
You were saying something about Cullen?
What to see
Yes.
for the Heartlands,
Haven
a
has
place of
limited
vineyards and gilded
space
marble
for our
states, and
soldiers
also
to
fortress
train.
cottages.
Perhaps we could set up something over here.
Let us begin.
Ah, well there we go. Well, I didn't do anything for us though. Why? We didn't get anything out of that. Hey, Sebastian. Hope he's doing well right now. We need more money. Could we use all of it buying new
At your
new
service.
stuff or buying new materials? $50,000, 200,000, 250,000. Okay, that should be enough for when I go and buy more. Now let's unlock that. Off we go. We'll take you, and you. Bear. Yeah, you guys should probably get used to me usually almost always having
Thank you,
Cassandra
Riley.
with me.
Maybe you can solve this mess. Our missing patrols are being held hostage by Avar, barbarians from the mountains.
What are they doing in a bog?
That's the thing. Their leader, he wants them to fight you, because you're the Herald of Andraste.
Well, why me?
What do they have against Andraste?
Well, the Avar think there are gods in nature, as in the sky has a god and the forest. The Avar say you're claiming to be sent by one, and they'll challenge the will of your god with their own. I think their leader's just a boastful little prick who wants to brag he killed you.
I'd rather not have to fight them, but I will if I have to.
Hoping we could negotiate.
I wouldn't count on it. These Avar don't seem to value diplomacy. Getting to our troops won't be easy. You'll have to fight your way through undead. Wait, you're not squeamish about undead, are you?
No, I
Doesn't
don't really
matter.
care.
I'm not letting the Avar butcher the Inquisition's people.
I appreciate it. The Avar are holed up in the castle on the other side of the Fallow Mire. Make her willing, the Inquisition's people are still alive.
This might interest you, sir.
Don't care. That was lightning that almost hit me. Get Comes blue, whatever it's called again. Gotta find it first, Jesus Christ.
Should we look around?
Already working on it. Bottle. Come on now, I know, there it is. No, that's not what I'm looking for actually. It's a different material. Blue vitriol. Why is it called that? Vitriol is like a very negative name, isn't it? From my recollection. Elf root. Oh, there's the undead, already on our map. Don't want them coming up here, that'd be rather bad. Of course not all of them.
Look, signs of a plague.
A cheerful addition to any decent swamp. At least in the city you can find a decent healer. Out here you have what? Roots and berries?
Maybe a mage if you're lucky. Like a mage that didn't get caught. Only if you're lucky though, which is, you know, slim to none most of the time. Okay, we got 20 minutes left for tonight. I know I said 3:20, but or 3 hours and 20 minutes, but I don't think we're gonna do that. We gotta make up for that time I spent. I have to cut out, so three hours will be enough for us. That's enough for 4 videos. We'll make up for it next time. Oh, excuse me, make up for it next time. No rush for us yet. We still got plenty of time. Next time we'll definitely fight the dragon too. Looking forward to that. Oh yeah, by the way, don't touch the water here, because when we touch the water it spawns more undead. Although there will be parts where we kind of have to touch the water, which is kind of lame, if I'm being honest.
One down.
Alright, I always said don't touch the water, but I don't care.
Disturbing the water draws them out.
Like, I like to avoid inconveniences, but this isn't that big of a deal. Alright, where are you at? You wanted to... There you are. Who barred the door? Don't do that. I need to get in there.